Hey there, welcome back to coverage of the Modern Super League here. It's Tuesday night. What better night to watch some Modern? And I've got with me Eric Froelich. Efro, how goes, sir?
Goes pretty good. How you doing?
I'm good. We've had some really exciting matches tonight. Did you get a chance to watch any of them?
I watched all of them.
So you've seen that we've had some great stuff tonight. Really exciting top decks and matches so far, so good. But I want to talk about, well, maybe our first finals, maybe our second. So the way this works is it's a double elimination tournament. You're not out until you lose twice, and that includes the finals. Now, Patrick Dickmann has just sort of ran his way through the tournament. He hasn't lost yet. You can take a look here, and he just went win, 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 and hasn't bothered to lose yet, which means that Shaun McLaren is going to have to beat him 2 times if he wants to be our Modern Super League champion here. And our first one, and I know that it means a lot to Patrick. I asked him, about the prizes, and by the way, there are prizes. I'll talk about that in just a sec. But it means a lot to Patrick to be the first champion of the Modern Super League, and he's going to get 2 shots at Shaun to actually take it down, Fro.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great place to be in. It's the place that I was in for the most recent Vintage Super League. I ended up losing both matches to Randy, so he ended up taking it down, but it's a good position to be in when you have a loss to give. You earn it by running the tables to start with, so...
Yeah, and Patrick's put himself in a great spot to do just that. Now, for the prizes for the Modern Super League, there are many. First place gets a foil set of Modern Masters 2015 on Magic Online. Second place gets a regular set of Modern Masters. Both of these players are going to be qualified along with you, Efro, for the Super League Championship. And so there's quite a bit, to play for here, but I know both of these players, and they both really, really just want to be the champion of the Modern Super League. They'll take the sweet cards. They have no problem with it, but it's all about that championship for these guys.
Yeah, I mean, titles are titles. Money comes and goes. It's an interesting one. Like it's a question you hear a lot in, basically every competition game. Does the title mean more? Does the money mean more? And it's a tough question for a lot of people. I mean, money is a great thing. Prizes are a great thing, but you can never take those titles away from you. Those things last forever. So, it's winning the Modern Super League is a great accomplishment, and so these are 2 very accomplished Modern players, and so a very fitting final.
Yeah, and it's going to be a fun one to watch. Why don't we take a look at the deck lists of our 2 finalists? Shaun McLaren up first here with his Jund deck. This is become one of the more popular mid-range decks in Modern. It's kind of been around in some form or another. They tried to knock it out by banning Bloodbraid Elf and Deathrite Shaman. That didn't work. It's back again, though maybe not quite as good as it was before. What do you think of Shaun's Jund build here, Efro?
It's Jundy.
It's very Jundy.
I think that's actually become an adjective in Magic nowadays. Like now that all the black-green X mid-range attrition decks are basically lumped into Jund, what once was called the Rock is basically just Jund. And this deck is Jund. It has some decent value creatures. Tarmo, of course, the Brick Wall. We have the discard. Lots of efficient removal, as you might notice. It tops off at 3 mana for removal spells. So you've got 4 1-mana removal spells in Lightning Bolt, maybe the best card in Modern, 4 2-mana removal spells, and then 4 3-mana removal spells. And Liliana the Veil kind of plays double duty against the creature decks. It is another removal spell, and then it just goes and attacks hands. Great against control decks and combo decks, kind of rip them apart. It threatens ultimate pretty quickly, and once you go ultimate, you decimate their board, and it's a great spot to be in.
Yeah, we saw Liliana the Veil do pretty serious work, even against Cedric Phillips and his Zoo deck, which tends to kind of flood the board with small creatures and burn spell your face. But even then, she found a spot, and she can be even better, against bigger creature decks, against Tarmogoyfs and such. Let's take a look at what's going on with Patrick Dickmann. He's brought his signature deck to the table, Efro. This is Tarmo Twin from him. This is a deck that he popularized, and he's the best Tarmo Twin player in the world. I mean, there's not that many, but he's the guy, and he's got a finely tuned list ready to go here.
Yeah, I played a similar deck at the most recent Modern Grand Prix. It's a solid deck. is basically just Splinter Twin adding Tarmogoyf, which is pretty good in a handful of matchups. It's quite good against decks like Cedric Phillips, as Tarmogoyf is kind of a brick wall. It also presents a threat on different axes. In Tarmogoyf, again, the rest of the deck is just Splinter Twin. So Tarmogoyf is a threat that can deal a lot of damage quickly and can stop people from pressuring you. Against Jund, it's not super exciting because basically what you're going to be doing, the Jund matchup was typically very hard for Splinter Twin, and what ended up happening was people changed their sideboard so that after sideboard they were a completely different deck. They weren't focused on the combo anymore. They were focused on cards like Keranos, God of Storms, and Thragtusk, which is one of the best sideboard cards. I ended up playing 3 Thragtusks in the Grand Prix, and I was very impressed with it. It's very good against Jund. It's tough to deal with. It costs 5 mana, which is real, but you've got an extra land in the sideboard. That's pretty common for these decks nowadays. And once these things come down, it's just tough to deal with because Abrupt Decay can only deal with the token. You have Lightning Bolt to deal with, the 5/3, but you can't really deal with it with Kolaghan's Command or Abrupt Decay. And it's going to take multiple cards, and it's going to gain 5 life. It's a really great threat. Keranos is extremely tough for Jund decks to deal with. We used to see Batterskull as the weapon of choice. Kolaghan's Command has kind of pushed that out. Now it's just kind of a liability more than a great threat. But after sideboards where things get really interesting because the cat's very much out of the bag right now. So whether you have sideboard cards that are going to be good against the combo or try to, prepare for the matchup in a way where it's going to go long and both players are trying to go long, Shaun McLaren is not going to be caught off guard, nor is really anyone nowadays. What's happening. One of the weaknesses of this deck against Jund, playing Tarmogoyf, is that you still have a good threat to kill with Abrupt Decay after sideboard, where maybe a Splinter Twin deck that's going to take out all of its Exarchs and Pester Mites and Splinter Twin copies, Abrupt Decay might go dead against them. So the Jund deck is going to have some good answers that can't be countered with these cheap counter spells that Tarmo Twin plays, and it's a tough matchup. It's very close.
All right, well, we're going to get a chance to find out because players are ready to go. Let's head down to the feature match. This is the finals of the Modern Super League, and let's take a look at these opening hands, Eric. What do you see in here?
I see 2 1-land hands, which is
2 1-landers.
Definitely pretty rough for whoever's going to be on the play, although it looks like Patrick does have Serum Visions, which is nice, but having a land that he can't play turn 1 untapped means that keeping this hand means that your turn 2 might just be Serum Visions. If you don't find a land in the top 2, you're just passing the turn because you just have to draw a card and you're setting up your scry for a future turn. If you had a land that came to be untapped, you get to draw a card, scry 2, and basically be able to decide to set up your library so that you're not going to miss a second land drop very often. So that's a much stronger hand. So he had to mulligan that. Shaun also had a 1-land hand, certainly couldn't keep his. Looks like Patrick's now down to 5. I didn't even see the 6-card hand. Although this 5 looks excellent.
This 5 does look good. He gets the untapped land for the Serum Visions right away. He's got half of his combo in hand. He's got a Snapcaster Mage to go for some value. Now, unfortunately for him, Shaun's 6 looks pretty good as well. He's got
Shaun's 6 looks great.
Yeah, he's got the Inquisition of Kozilek that he can fire off on turn 1 if he'd like. And he's got a removal spell and Liliana in succession as well. He can just go bang, 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 1, 2, 3. And that's a pretty tough one to beat, although, well, interesting. So Patrick Dickmann finds Tarmogoyf, which you'd think would be pretty great, but it is going to be exposed to the Inquisition if Shaun wants to take it.
Yeah, the 6-card opening from Shaun was almost perfect. Basically, it was missing a Tarmogoyf, and that was his first card off the top of the deck. So not bad there. This Inquisition's interesting. I think because he already has the Terminate, he would lean towards taking Snapcaster Mage. The value you get from that is so big. But this game's going to go really well for him. Like, if he didn't draw Tarmogoyf, taking the Snapcaster Mage is more relevant because the game is probably going to go longer, but this Tarmogoyf can end the game pretty quickly, so there's some chance he just wants to take the threat in Tarmogoyf to not leave himself as susceptible if, let's say, Patrick's able to go land into like Spell Snare or something along those lines. The fact that he has Liliana and Terminate, though, I imagine he's just going to take Snapcaster.
Yeah, good call. He did. He took Snapcaster Mage, and he's left Patrick Dickmann with Tarmogoyf. Now, Patrick looks like he put a Remand on top. He's drawn that now here as well. But he's just going to fire off the Tarmogoyf here. Yeah, this works out nicely for Shaun.
Yeah, Shaun's hand just is very good. I mean, I was going to say it lines up very good against Patrick's draw, but Patrick mulliganed to 5. I mean, Shaun mulliganed to 6, but he was also on the draw, so he got that extra card, and his hand's just great. Like,
looks like Shaun's considering just using Terminate here to kill the Tarmogoyf. Yeah, he's going to do that.
I think it would be a mistake to not do that. You're just kind of opening yourself up to too much trouble, and with your opponent down to 5 cards, it's just not worth that risk.
Okay. So he does. He fires that off. Now he's got the option of playing a Tarmogoyf or a Liliana of the Veil. As it turns out, Patrick's drawn 2 copies of Remand, so nothing's going to stick on the table this turn. But
yeah, I'm not sure if he's actually going to end up firing something off right now because he knows that Patrick kept a card on top, and it's very likely to be Remand. So he may just wait a turn.
So if he could see Patrick's hand, would he just do nothing?
If he knew that there were 2 Remands, he would be more likely to do nothing, I think.
Okay.
But because it's likely they only have 1, you know that Deceiver Exarch's in their hand, which is pretty dead right now.
Ooh.
And so, yeah, that could be a good draw.
Hello. Yeah, maybe. He needs to hit some lands here, but that could be a thing. Ooh.
So I think he just goes Tarmogoyf here so that
he can recast it. Yeah, okay.
And I think Patrick just has to fire off Remand, even though he's pretty aware that it's probably still going to get cast. I assume that Shaun's not going to play a land first because he doesn't know whether he wants it untapped or not.
He's actually going to go for Liliana, it looks like here.
Interesting.
So he's not going to play around the Remand. He's just
going to... That works out nicely for Patrick. If he goes land here, he just wins the game against the sand.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he didn't. He drew a Tarmogoyf, but he could still hit land. Ugh. Whiffed. Now what does he do? He doesn't want to play the Tarmogoyf into the Liliana here, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, he does.
He absolutely wants to play Tarmogoyf into Liliana here. I mean, the other way to put that is just what really else are you going to do?
That is true.
At least it prolongs the game a little bit. He's got the win in hand, so
he had it because I think Inquisition of Kozilek can break this up pretty cleanly here. Oh, well, he's not going to fire it off. He's just going to go for Liliana, kill your Tarmogoyf, make my own Tarmogoyf, and there is a land now. Wow, this is actually going to work out really well. If he draws an untapped mana here, he could just win.
He should draw an untapped red mana, but yes.
Good point.
That would win the game. He's going to respond to this by casting the Exarch, which generally is going to have plenty of ways to kill it out of a Jund deck, but Shaun doesn't have anything.
Wow. If you can draw an untapped red source, a fetch land,
yep,
you'd just win the game on the spot.
It would be an amazing win considering how this game started. I mean,
yeah.
The
hand from McLaren?
Really buried. Yeah.
Wow. Let's see if he can do it. You know, he needed to rip a lightning bolt earlier against Cedric, and he did.
He had a few more outs than just lightning bolt, but yes. That was a pretty fantastic top deck.
That was sweet.
He's got a lot of untapped red sources. I mean, again, every fetch land is good. We've seen a whole bunch of Sulphur Falls because he kept mulliganing 1-land Sulphur Falls hands. I imagine, I don't know how many red sources in his deck, but I'm guessing the number is pretty high, like probably a quarter of his deck at this point.
Oh, man. Goyf number 2 is going to join the team for McLaren.
It's going to be interesting to see whether he ticks up the Liliana here, like plays the lightning bolt first and then ticks up Liliana to let Patrick know that the coast is clear, but because his board is so good, it's obvious that Patrick's going to go for it if he draws the red.
Oh, and he whiffs. Finds Spell Pierce. Now he's not dead here, though, right?
Oh, he's dead here because Liliana minus is going to finish him off. If he drew a creature this turn, he would not be dead. Like let's say he drew a Bounding Crassus or a Deceiver Exarch, he gets to tap something, and he's going to get more shots at it. I guess the Kolaghan's command that Shaun was drawing this turn would have ended it. At least making him discard this 1 or 2, not literally ending the game, but making him pretty dead.
Oh, man, that was such a close one. Any untapped red source, and that would have been game. But it wasn't to be. Shaun McLaren capitalizes on that great opening hand, that mulligan to 6 that looked beautiful and only kept getting better. We get a chance now to see our players sideboarding.
We're going to see a lot here. We're going to see a lot.
A lot changing hands from sideboard to main deck here for both players.
At least for I haven't looked at Shaun's sideboard, but for Patrick, a lot of cards are like both the Thragtusk, Keranos, the land. I didn't really look too deeply, but it looks like he has cards like Negate. There's a lot of stuff coming in, and there's a lot of combo cards coming out. The combo is just pretty weak in this matchup. There's Abrupt Decays, there's Lightning Bolts, there's a lot of discard that really does a lot of work to rip these things apart. And so the way that I've heard that Patrick usually sideboards is that he leaves in 2 of his combo creatures and 1 copy of Splinter Twin. So he starts 5 combo creatures and 3 Splinter Twins. So that's 5 cards right there that come out. In the past, I've seen him bring in cards like, is it Staticaster against things like Dark Confidant? I'm not sure if that's his plan for this time. Cards like Roast, if he has them available, are pretty good. It's just ways to deal with Tarmogoyf and Scavenging Ooze or any other creatures.
Yeah, he's brought in 6 cards, it looks like here, including Roast. He's also brought in Desolate Lighthouse, that extra land that you mentioned before the match started. He did bring that in as well.
Also just a nice value land.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like yeah, so Patrick's plan is to grind here. Like, he's just basically going to take the Jund game plan right to Shaun McLaren.
Yeah, it's a very reasonable thing to do.
Now, what about Shaun? What are you seeing on Shaun's side of the sideboard here?
My picture is just a little bit fuzzy. It looks like those are 4 lightning bolts that came out because it's 4 1-mana red cards in the sideboard. Yeah, that looks like what he did. So that's interesting because Lightning Bolt is very weak against the Seaver Exarch, of course, but the creature that Patrick ends up leaving into his deck is Bounding Crassus, which actually can be killed by Lightning Bolt. It also can take out Thragtusk or the Beast token, although there are other things that can do that as well. So Lightning Bolt is the card that he feels is the weakest. Bringing in Nihil Spellbomb is a pretty sweet card when you're dealing with a deck that gets a lot of value out of Snapcaster Mage. So that card will cycle and basically negate a Snapcaster or, just mess things up a little.
All right, so just a big picture perspective as we come into game 2 here. Patrick Dickmann actually has a match loss to give to Shaun McLaren. If Shaun wins this game or the one after this game, then we're going to play again. The same matchup, the same players again, as Patrick has not lost yet. He is undefeated currently in the Modern Super League, and in order to knock somebody out, they have to pick up their second loss. So he's got some wiggle room here, but I'm sure he'd much prefer to get this thing done on the first run. In the meantime, here's Shaun McLaren firing off an Inquisition of Kozilek, which looks like it's going to take care of a Tarmogoyf here.
Yeah, the good news for Patrick is that Shaun's hand is nowhere near as strong as it was in game 1. The bad news is that this Inquisition is taking away his only action spell. Spell Snare is not countering anything in Shaun's hand. Plus, he's aware of it, which is huge. Spell Snare is a great card. It's very good in this matchup, but it is narrow. So knowing it's there does mean a lot, I guess.
Sure. But like you said, the Shaun McLaren's hand not spectacular here either. He did draw a 1-drop here with the Grim Lavamancer, so he'll be able to play that.
Yeah, the beautiful synergy between Grim Lavamancer and Tasigur.
Sarcasm noted.
Both are just very strong cards.
Yeah, individually they are.
But very good Magic cards.
Yeah, that is a one of for McLaren, the Grim Lavamancer, and it is a little awkward to draw it with your Tasigur. Which
I believe is also a one of.
Bounding Crassus off the top here.
Yeah, solid. It's just going to be a 3/3 that's going to start attacking. And
I guess it just gets to rumble.
Yeah. Shaun doesn't have an immediate answer to it, although Tasigur is going to come down next turn. It's going to shut the door pretty well. Patrick would like to... I guess the best card off the top is going to be Splinter Twin, but behind that is going to be something like Roast. Cryptic Command would be a nice one.
He's just going to fire off the duress. He knows that there's at least one thing he can hit, and like you said, if he wants to be able to cast Tasigur, he's going to need to get a couple extra cards in his yard. He's got a fetch land up there and a duress here. And this sets him up. He can even activate Grim Lavamancer if he finds himself in a situation where that's profitable. So here comes Nile Spellbomb, because why not? He can even just use it to draw a card since he sees that Patrick is kind of out of gas here.
Yeah, definitely reasonable to draw cards with it right now. I mean, not right now, but during Patrick's end step. Splinter Twin.
That would have been game. He didn't find it, though. He did find a Serum Visions.
Serum Visions is good.
All right, he's seen another Bounding Krasis as well as a Hinterland Harbor. He's clearly going to get that Harbor out of there. Does he want another Krasis? I don't know. He drew a Snapcaster Mage off of this.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants the Krasis either.
Looks like he's kind of in the tank here, Efro.
That's a tough call. I don't know myself what I would do with a Krasis with perfect information. So,
yeah, Patrick, of course, doesn't know about Tasigur. He put it on the bottom, it looks like.
Again, I can see Shaun's hand, and seeing Shaun's hand, I think I'm likely to put it on the bottom. I would like an answer to Tasigur, and it's very likely that my opponent's going to have some kind of threat between 3 cards in hand plus whatever they draw from Nihil Spellbomb. But, yeah, I think it was a good call by Patrick there. And not an easy one.
All right, so Patrick hoping to keep the dream of the combo alive here. He's got one piece on the battlefield, but you mentioned the card that that Shaun ends up drawing. It ended up being a Liliana of the Veil, but the Snapcaster Mage from Patrick can actually protect his Bounding Krasis from the Liliana if Shaun went for that play instead of playing Tasigur.
Depends on how he plays it. If he plays the Verdant Catacombs first, he can actually use Grim Lavamancer to take down Snapcaster Mage. So if he minuses Liliana, Patrick responds with Snapcaster. The Lavamancer could then take that down. It does mean Tasigur's delayed another turn, which
he didn't.
Well, he gets to play Tasigur this turn, but because he's minusing Liliana.
I'm saying he's minusing Liliana.
He can still cast Tasigur this turn.
Yeah, he gets to cast Tasigur, but he doesn't get to make that play you talked about with the Grim Lavamancer there.
No, he doesn't get to cast Tasigur, and now he's going to have to chump block with Grim Lavamancer.
Oh, right. Even cracking the fetch leaves him a mana. Wow.
Yeah, he wanted to get the tap land into play now, and I think that was a risk that just wasn't worth it.
And Thragtusk off the top now for
great draw. So,
whoa,
it's going to be interesting to see. I'm not sure which has more value between Grim Lavamancer and Liliana. It's generally going to be Liliana, but this Thragtusk off the top is going to make that look a lot weaker, I guess.
Yeah, and he just chump blocked with Grim Lavamancer as well to save Liliana, who now Patrick Dickmann's completely out of cards.
Yep.
That worked out really well for him.
Well, he's going to get to play Tasigur and leave up an activation, which is a good spot to be. But he's now facing a Thragtusk, which is just a great threat. Yeah, that last turn worked out really poorly for Shaun.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of different ways to play it where it works out pretty well for him, and that one worked out the best possible for Patrick. Not that Shaun's in a terrible spot or necessarily should have done anything different, but it definitely has given Patrick the best chance to get back into this game. And what the card he actually drew was probably the best card he wanted to see. I'm not sure which is better between Thragtusk and Keranos, but I think it's probably Thragtusk.
How do you feel
we'd
about
love to see Keranos right now. Oh, yeah, Splinter Twin would be a good draw.
Not a bad one.
Splinter Twin's still a good one.
All right, there it is. Tasigur with activation mana available. Oh, wow. Roast off the top now for Patrick. Wow.
Gets an activation. Did he miss?
And he bricks. He hits 2 lands with it.
All right. It's pretty bad.
Whoa. Everything's coming up Patrick here.
There is some debate, potentially, of whether you attack just the Bounding Krasis into the Liliana until he taps all 4 mana, because you're running the risk of getting bolted and Liliana staying on the board. Liliana could then kill Thragtusk. Tapping out meant that there was no risk, and He gets to deal 5 damage. He gets to take Liliana down, and things look great for Patrick now.
So is Shaun planning on activating a Raging Ravine defensively here?
Yeah,
he's going to start trading away his lands here.
The clock is very fast. These 5/3s don't mess around.
Yeah. Now, is there anything Patrick can do here? Is he just obliged to let Shaun do this?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you're still getting a creature through, and because you're not really losing value, like trading your Bounding Crassus for a Raging Ravine is a very reasonable trade. Trading your Thragtusk for it and getting a Beast is a very reasonable trade. So this is still a decent position he's in. I'm not sure what I would have blocked there. If your plan is to follow up with Liliana, you are running a risk of him top decking something like Splinter Twin off the top. Maybe Shaun assumes that there are 0 or 1 copies and he's not too worried about it, but that is a very real risk.
All right, here's Liliana.
Taking 2 more damage.
Yeah, it takes down half of the board state here of Patrick. So Beast down. And Shaun even drew a Dark Confidant, which he's just going to run out there.
Yeah, it's a solid draw.
So here we go. He's tapped out again. And remember, Patrick still has the insta-win. I don't think he boarded out everything. Geez, now Dismember as well for Dickmann.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot of whether you take Shaun down to 5 or kill Liliana. The answer is almost always to kill the Planeswalker, but
yeah,
it's no guarantee. He's going to think about it.
Yeah, and in Liliana doesn't do much next turn, as the worst case scenario is that he pluses it, and that just doesn't really do anything here, as Patrick can just play his Forest and have no ill effect from it.
There may be some consideration of not even killing the Dark Confidant, seeing if it deals some damage, and saving the Dismember for something bigger. Yeah. I don't know how big Tarmogoyf is right now. Looks like sorcery, creature, Planeswalker, land. Is there an instant too?
Wow, so he attacked Liliana, no blocks, and did not use Dismember, so there was a trigger there.
Yeah.
And now Inquisition of Kozilek's going to hit the stack, which is going to prompt Patrick to finally use that thing. But this works out really well for McLaren, who found a Terminate as well.
Yeah, fantastic turn for Shaun. The Inquisition didn't actually do anything.
No.
It forced a Dismember that maybe should have been cast earlier. It's a tough call. Patrick definitely got punished, though.
He did, yeah. He let him
a Terminate.
Yeah, he just let him have a Terminate, and now he has no board stay. There's another Liliana of the Veil now for McLaren.
Well, now this game is slipping away quick. He's going to need one of his big spells. We're talking Keranos and Thragtusk.
Thragtusk! Wow! You called it, Efro, and there it is.
I didn't say he was going to draw it. I said he needed
it. You said he needed it.
He did.
And, he agreed.
This is not a bad draw for Shaun, as he actually could not activate a Raging Ravine right now, and this gives him green mana.
So he's just going to have to kind of suck it up here and use part of his Liliana to take out half of a Thragtusk. But like you said, that Wooded Foothills means that the Ravine... Wow, now here's another reasonable draw. What does he have?
Looks like he just has a Road. Oh, no, he's Dismember. Okay, that's actually really good.
Oh, yeah.
He needed an instant way to deal with this Raging Ravine, and that's... So this Snapcaster Mage is actually great. I forgot about the Dismember.
Yeah.
So he's going to get to kill this Raging Ravine. Liliana's going to go down.
And then once again, top decking.
Interesting. He could have attacked Shaun and taken him down to 3 life and had the Snapcaster around to be sacrificed to Liliana. It's riskier, of course, but it was an option on the table.
It was, yeah. It is going to give Shaun an extra draw step, but in exchange for that draw step, he gets to kill Raging Ravine and have Liliana gone.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he doesn't quite have lethal on the battlefield. He's very close, though, and there's nothing for Shaun there, so Shaun is going to be down to 1 more draw step.
That was a huge brick. I'm not sure they're out after that draw.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with just the 1 green mana. No scavenging news can happen here, nothing. So, yeah, Shaun's going to find himself at 1 life here, facing down 2 creatures, and, in a deck that's primarily built around 1-for-1s. Is Kolagon's Command a thing?
No, that Beast is just going to finish things off.
Beast just does it?
He needs a Thragtusk, which I don't think he plays. Huntmaster could do it. Could buy him a turn. Olivia could have been a good draw if his land wasn't a fetch land.
Yeah, and also not Verdant Catacomb. So that will do it.
Oh, he actually has a Kitchen Finks in his deck after sideboard. So that could have... oh, no, he didn't have double green. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't have double green still. Yeah, we tried, right? we dug deep to find an out for Shaun, but there didn't seem to be one.
Some good games, and this is very reflective of the matchup from my experience. That it is close. Like there are big draws, they matter. Tiny things matter. Small amounts of life matter. It is very grindy. Mistakes get punished, and they're not always clear. Like mistakes don't necessarily mean active like punts or errors in thinking. It's just you don't have perfect information always, and every little thing matters so much. And so the decision of how you sequence things in these grindy, attrition-y games is huge, and it's not easy.
Yeah, I go back to that turn with the Bounding Crisis where Shaun played the Liliana, and he wanted to make sure that was gone. So he didn't play a land first minus the Liliana, and then the Snapcaster Mage came down, and that meant that the Grim Lavamancer couldn't get activated with Liliana's ability on the stack to kill the Snapcaster Mage, and that cost him pretty big, right? I mean, that gave a window for Patrick to come back, and he had some really nice draws there down the stretch to put him back in the game, and he was able to finish it off. It's like such a tiny play, just Absolutely. Not playing the land first.
And you're actually right. Kolaghan's Command would have given him at least an extra turn because he could have killed the Snapcaster and brought a Tarmogoyf back from the graveyard that he had enough mana to actually cast.
Okay.
So that would have actually staved off death for at least a little while, depending on what Patrick drew. Although it looks like Shaun ended up boarding out one of the copies of Kolaghan's Command from his deck and brought back in a Lightning Bolt.
All right. Well, we get a game 3 here in our first match. Now, if Patrick wins this game, we're done. Patrick is our Modern Super League champion for the first season, and that's going to be it. If Shaun McLaren pulls this game out, though, we will be going to another match to decide who our champion is. Looks like we had a little tech issue there, so we're going to let them get that sorted. But this is a great matchup for the finals, Ephro, because like you said, it's just close, right? Like this is just a close matchup where the players are going to be, emptying a lot of the spells out of their hand, and we're going to kind of see where the dust settles. It's not one of these matches where, one player just goes off and it's like, they had it, it's over. It tends to be a lot more grindy than that.
Absolutely, and we have two of the best Modern players in the world playing what I think are considered the two signature Modern decks. If you had to name two decks that are kind of the linchpins of Modern, I would say Splinter Twin and Jund.
Agreed.
And also, it's one of the closest matchups in Modern. So a lot of good things going on here. Shaun's opening hand looked like a one-lander that was just not too hot. Patrick's hand is very good, but he also doesn't have an untapped blue source for turn 1. Not the end of the world, because again, these games are expected to go a little bit longer. Having Bolt and Roast is great protection against the threats in the Jund deck. So a very solid opening hand from Patrick. Shaun's hand is also good for 6. Leading on Thoughtseize is great. Being able to then play Tarmogoyf, you're hoping that the Thoughtseize can protect it, and then you have a Terminate to deal with whatever threat Patrick might have, which currently he doesn't have one, but Serum Visions tends to mean that you'll find some of the things that you need. It sees a lot of cards.
Yeah, it looks like he's maybe considering taking the Roast as such a clean answer for Goyf, and the way this is going to play out, the Lightning Bolt is not an answer for Tarmogoyf.
That's true.
All right, he did take the Roast Thragtusk off the top, but he can't really do much else this turn, Patrick. He just has to play a tap land and ship the turn back. He's definitely hoping to not see a Tarmogoyf here, but he is going to see one. So
I don't agree with the land choice that Patrick made turn 1, because my plan on turn 2 is to fire off this Serum Visions. If I draw an island off my draw phase or off the Serum Visions, I would love to play another copy of Serum Visions. So
yeah, he saved himself maybe 2 life there, but he did mean that he would only have...
Like, if you draw Tarmogoyf and you're still not going to play it on turn 2, then you're not saving yourself any life, because if you draw an island, you get to play it and cast another Serum Visions, and if you don't, you can just play the Stomping Ground tapped. It does save you 2 life if their play is Dark Confidant, because you would love to play Serum Visions and then Lightning Bolt that. But other than that, it's interesting. I think it's a close call, and that's not the one I would have chosen.
All right, well, here's Inquisition of Kozilek from Shaun McLaren. And, I mean, as you can see, if you're sitting in Patrick Dickmann's seat, you just want this game to go along. I mean, he's got a lot of gasoline in the tank there. He needs to find some time to get his lands going. Tarmogoyf now gets taken away by Inquisition. But, you know, with Thragtusk in hand, I guess that's really his only threat going right now, though. These reactive spells don't look too great against the board. Now, he did Serum Visions last turn, so that sets up this Desolate Lighthouse.
Do we know if that was kept on top?
I'm making an assumption, but I don't know. Okay, he did find another land with Scalding Tarn here, but this Tarmogoyf's doing work. It was bottom top, so he did keep the land there, and now he's played another Serum Visions.
Yeah, this Tarmogoyf is not an easy thing to answer, although Thragtusk is a great way to do so. It's just a huge creature that, you know, leaves behind a nice body in its wake.
He's finally found a Lightning Bolt target here as well. Looks like he's going to wait till damage happens to save himself yet another life.
Yeah, this Tarmogoyf only being 3/4 is kind of strange on this late in the game when there's been a bunch of discard spells cast, but no instance in the graveyard until that Lightning Bolt.
Oh, hello.
So I assume that was kept on top because the Scalding Tarn wasn't cracked. And now Patrick's in great shape because he's got the Spell Snare for the Terminate. There's no other cards in Shaun's hand. And he's 1 mana away from Thragtusk.
Wow. Yeah, he's at 14 life, so he took a few hits from Goyf, but like you said, even with something like 7 or 8 cards in the yard, it wasn't enough. Well, here's a Tarmogoyf off the top. Now, this is kind of interesting. If Shaun leads with Goyf, you got to figure that Patrick's going to Spell Snare it, right?
Absolutely.
And if he does, then that means Terminate is going to take down his own Tarmogoyf, and he's going to take a bunch of damage here. So that was a pretty interesting draw there from Shaun.
Yeah, 1 mana away from being able to use this negate as well. But he's also just 1 mana away again from Thragtusk, which is gonna turn the tides pretty dramatically if that happens. If it doesn't, though, I mean, he's taking 4 turn. If Patrick completely bricks this turn and Shaun draws a land, he's looking at 8 damage next turn. So that'll put Patrick down to 2, potentially 1 if he cracks this Tarn, which he does. I'm not sure if cracking there is great because he really wants to draw a land, but
but he hits it anyway. All right, Thragtusk to the rescue. So this is kind of currently at least the last stand. And wow, there's Liliana of the Veil right off the top.
No double black. There's no double black.
Oh, he can't cast it. Oh, it would have been excellent here as the Tarmogoyf is up to 4/5 now, and now all of a sudden that negate looks fantastic.
Yeah, the Liliana would have been interesting if he could cast it because he could kill Thragtusk, but it doesn't really give him a great attack because the beast comes back and kills the Liliana. And now Patrick's at a nice life total. The gaining 5 life is just so huge.
Wow,
now he's facing down Desolate Lighthouse and is just kind of not in great shape.
Yeah, advantage Patrick Dickmann once again. We've seen this pretty consistently that Shaun will scrap his way back in, but Patrick just keeps finding the right cards here.
Yeah.
Raging Ravine. Well, at least it opens up the possibility of activating a Raging Ravine in the future, but for now, that's not what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, at the Grand Prix, I played green in my Splinter Twin deck, and it was largely for Thragtusk in the sideboard, which I kind of wanted no matter what, more than it was to have the Tarmogoyfs, and Tarmogoyf's great. So I'm just trying to give you an idea of how good I think Thragtusk is.
How good do you think Keranos is?
Borderline unbeatable.
And does he just windmill it here?
Absolutely.
All right, so here it comes. Keranos, God of Storms. Could this be the card that puts the nails in the coffin of Shaun McLaren and makes Patrick Dickmann our first modern Super League champion? Thragtusk is holding down the fort. Keranos, God of Storms, you can read it?
Yeah, the answer is yes, Marshall. It is.
Thank you, Ebro. And there was a swamp now, a little late though off the top for McLaren. He can now finally cast Liliana of the Veil, but now he has to just
go. He has to just go for it now. I mean, he's got to kill Thragtusk and start attacking the Tarmogoyf and trying to race the beast in Keranos. I don't know if he can do it, but trying to think what he can draw. Like, if this Tarmogoyf gets through, he has Raging Ravine. He could draw Lightning Bolt. That helps. Yeah, the game's not over.
Not over yet.
Definitely not over. Remand's going to deal 3. That could take down Liliana or just go to Shaun's face. I assume it will take down Liliana here.
Yeah.
But he doesn't actually have an answer for Tarmogoyf. That thing can keep doing work. Serum Visions helps a lot.
I think he's deciding if he wants to just dome Shaun McLaren.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to figure out how fast he can actually win this game.
Yeah, how many turns it's going to take to just win the game. No cards in hand, excuse me, for Shaun McLaren. So he knows that the way is clear.
Splinter Twin and Scalding Tarn on 2 cards, and those are just bricks here. Splinter Twin doesn't do anything. He's got a beast. He could still keep it on top to to get that free bolt from Keranos, but that's a bad draw. I don't think you want a bolt here.
Yeah, he bought them both. Wouldn't be surprised to see him keep the land in hand so that he can loot as well.
Yeah, the remand's pretty bad at this point, although drawing a card's nice.
All right, well, in comes the beast to knock Shaun down to 12. And it's Dark Confidant off the top for Shaun McLaren.
This is just a 2-turn clock right now. This Tarmogoyf is huge.
Is he going to activate his Ravine here?
Yep.
Yeah, he is.
All right, well.
This is 9 damage? Wow, so Patrick's going to be down to 1 here? Is Shaun going to find a way to beat Keranos and Thragtusk out of the board?
Yeah, the Liliana was right on time. The game looked completely over after that Keranos.
It sure did. All right, lands are being looted away here.
Needs a good one. He still gets one more draw.
And he finds Snapcaster.
That's a good draw. Wait, no, the roast is not enough.
No, it's not enough anymore.
5/6, wow.
Because of Liliana.
Yeah, Liliano's fantastic.
Wow.
The Raging Ravine is now a 4/4, so he can't even snap bolt that.
That's right.
And the turn before it attacks, that's an option.
Now, this does keep him alive for a turn, right? Just on chump blocking.
It does, but what are you looking to draw now? 12 life is a lot. Yeah, I think his best line is just he has to play Snapcaster Mage, target bolt before blockers. Snapcaster has to chump Raging Ravine. Beast Token has to chump Tarmogoyf. Flashback Lightning Bolt to kill Tarmogoyf. But you're still dealing with Raging Ravine, and now you're dealing with Tasigur.
Wow, Tasigur is here.
Although Tasigur is going to get remanded. Okay, so that's not the end of the world. You still need to find an answer for a Raging Ravine that can't be dealt with at sorcery speed and is going to be at 5/5.
I mean, he does have the option to kill the Ravine instead of the Goyf. I don't know if that's better.
He does. Good point.
I mean, if it opens up sorcery speed options, but
there are no sorcery speed options that deal with a 5/6 either, though.
Yeah, exactly. I think his
roast.
own Tarmogoyf would be, one of the better answers, and that will not deal with Ravine next turn either.
That's true. So yeah, it might be right to just kill the Ravine. The problem is there's still another Ravine. Like killing the
yes.
Yeah, so you have to kill Tarmogoyf because the Raging Ravine will still, the other Ravine will work just as well. It won't be as big, but it still gets the job done because Patrick's at 1 life.
Right. Ugh, tough spot here for Dickmann. He seemed like he was on the brink of winning multiple times, but Shaun McLaren refuses to give up.
I think if he didn't draw the swamp that turn, the game was completely over. And even drawing the swamp, I think that Patrick was still a little bit ahead. It's just the Serum Vision is completely bricked, and his draw phases have been pretty good. Shaun's, that is. Like he's been able to play, now he gets to play Tasigur, although I guess that's not going to work out.
Right, it won't work out because of Remand.
All right, so he's going to get a few more looks at it. He's not going to play it into Remand. Interesting. Oh, did he already see the Remand from
He's going to loot here, but he has to hit. I don't even know what he has to hit here. I guess another Snapcaster, a Tarmogoyf, something to block.
He used to hit a Bounding Crassus to tap it.
Oh, there you go. He's going for it here because he hit land off of his Keranos draw on his draw step.
He could also just draw Tarmogoyf as a chump blocker.
Yeah. Here it is.
Or Snapcaster, or Spell Snare will do it.
Spell Snare's not it.
All right.
Wow. Shaun
This
McLaren.
match was so good.
This has been awesome.
So now he's got to hope that Shaun doesn't go for the Ravine play. Tries to play around like a Bounding Crassus and just deploys multiple threats.
Yeah,
I don't think Shaun's going to fall for this.
Which he could do.
Also, if he had something to deal with the Raging Ravine, Shaun knows that the Remand is then down, which he saw off Keranos, I believe, we've been told. And so that would allow Tasker to then come down. So,
wow.
All good options for Shaun at that point.
So Shaun wins the first match, and it didn't have to be the first match, because if he lost it, it would have been also the last match. But that means, of course, that we get to watch a whole nother match that is going to determine our winner here on the Modern Super League. It's all going to come down to this one match: Patrick Dickmann versus Shaun McLaren. Two modern players for sure, and we're going to let them just have 1 minute to get ready. But once they're set, we're going to be back down in the feature match area, bringing you the finals here on Tuesday night. I also want to mention that, and after this, there's going to be a couple of weeks off for the Pro Tour. And when we come back on October 20th, it will be the Super League Championship. And we're going to be doing some last chance qualifier stuff and getting everything set to eventually crown a champion for the entire Super League in its entirety. Eric, I know that you're going to be playing in that. You must be excited. After the Pro Tour, kind of the dust will settle. And then you can see Eric there on the left from the Vintage Super League, along with Randy and Chris Bakula, Cheon, Gabby, Paul Rietzel, Josh Utter-Layton are in. Here we have everybody as well from the Modern Super League, which is going to be Cedric Phillips, Shaun McLaren, and Patrick Dickmann. And then we've got the two last chance qualifiers that are yet to be determined, but they will be on October 20th. That's where we're going to bring in Lishi Tien Gerard, Fabiano Owen, Tom Martel. And these guys are all kind of very close, right? Like we saw them get really, really close to getting qualified. So they're going to get a chance to play. And then the 4 TBD slots are going to be determined by you. You're going to be voting on the players. It's fan voting.
I would like to vote for Luis Scott Vargas and everyone besides Marshall.
Jeez, that's harsh. I wasn't
I'm
even
just
on
kidding.
the list.
I would like all of my limited resources to be available
Okay.
because I would like to win myself. And so I'm trying to...
You're trying to seed the field with lesser players than yourself? I mean, you've got the one next to your name.
Yeah, so I didn't have a choice.
You just have to have more, don't you?
What do you mean?
But yeah,
there was no number 0. What was I going to do?
So yeah, you're going to get to vote though for the players that are going to play in that last chance qualifier.
I'll make my announcement on Twitter.
The last players. It will be the article will go up on Twitter. Randy will tweet about it there, and then you can go vote for who you want to see play for their slot in the Super League Championship. But like I said, most of those seats are already filled now. Eric's got one of them, and of course our 2 players in the finals as well are going to be there. They're going to be ready very shortly here, and we're going to be down there. You expect more close games here, right, Efro? I mean, this matchup isn't the type of thing that we can say, well, it's the coin flip, or if this person goes off, it's just going to be like this the whole way.
This is how the decks are designed to play against each other, barring, essentially a nut draw mana screw type situation, because you're looking at an attrition deck versus a combo deck, and the combo deck boards into an attrition deck. So you don't have a choice. It's either someone got very unlucky and got decimated because of it, or we're going to be trading back and forth because that's what these decks are designed to do. Like if you're looking at a Jund Mirror, you're going to trade back and forth. The Tarmogoyfs are the biggest things. You need to kill them. The Planeswalkers matter. The removal spells are good and efficient. So it's the same thing on both sides. And yeah, we're going to look at games where the 5 drops out of Patrick's sideboard are very strong, and
we've seen
the
those.
deck is just good. It can deal with them sometimes.
Yeah, it can deal with everything. Let's head down to the feature match area. We've got the finals here all set. Let's take a look at their opening hands, Eric, and let us know what you see from each side.
Patrick's hand looks bad. If he had a stomping ground, his hand would look pretty great, but 2 copies of Twin is never really good. It's a little bit better against a Thoughtseize deck to have protection, but he can't actually cast either of the creatures in his hand. Lightning Bolt's not fantastic in this matchup. He has no card selection and no disruption, so a very weak hand. Up top...
He mulliganed, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is very reasonable.
Yeah.
Shaun's hand is good, not great. He doesn't have the good disruption. He doesn't have Abrupt Decay, Thoughtseize, or Inquisition. Those are his really good cards. But he has a fast clock.
He gets to just start playing Tarmogoyfs, or... Oh, he found Thoughtseize off the top.
He found Thoughtseize. He's forced to kind of play this Ravine turn 1 so he can get Tarmogoyf down, but his turn 3 has the potential to be amazing of, like, second Tarmogoyf Thoughtseize, which is just... God. Tough to beat, or Dark Confidant Thoughtseize. Basically, any way you slice it, his turn 3, if he finds a land, is going to be pretty good.
Now, how important is it for him to get the Thoughtseize cast before casting Tarmogoyfs? You know, given that there's Lightning Bolts possible.
Generally not extremely relevant, although because neither player's played a fetch land in the first 2 turns, it's much more so. So he's just going to lead on Dark Confidant, let that kind of eat up a Lightning Bolt to get Tarmogoyf out of Lightning Bolt range. If there had been a fetch land to go with that Serum Visions, you'd already be out of Lightning Bolt range. Tarmogoyf is, of course, your best threat in the matchup. Although if Dark Confidant sticks around for even a single turn, that's just so strong.
Yeah, and you know, you can see that Shaun McLaren's on all spells in hand, too, so he'd love to see some land start flowing off the top of the deck with the help of his good friend Bob there. But it looks like instead Bob's going to eat a Lightning Bolt, and Patrick, oh, that was pretty nice. Off of that second Serum Visions, he found a Spell Snare, so he does get to keep that up here.
Yeah, Spell Snare is really good, and Shaun didn't find the land. The land was, he really needed the land.
And, you know, given the fact that his land situation is getting pretty crimped, he's going to go for Tarmogoyf instead of Thoughtseize here to make sure that he's, you know, using up as much of his mana every turn as possible. He knows it's out of Lightning Bolt range. So this Spell Snare is really the only thing that can get him at this point. And, you know, fortunately for Patrick, he has one.
Yeah, and the fact that he has another Tarmogoyf as a backup, and the only thing he's worried about is Spell Snare, means that this play is one that I definitely agree with.
Okay. Snapcaster Mage off the top now as well for Dickmann. Another play he can make that you'll see sometimes is using his Deceiver Exarch to lock out his opponent from mana.
Very reasonable. If he didn't draw Snapcaster Mage, I think that would have very likely been his play. Looks like it still is going to be his play, but you know, you are definitely a little bit susceptible to you know, having them draw a land and casting something like Tarmogoyf that might be kind of challenging to deal with.
Yeah, he's going to take him off of his black mana here, leaving him with the green, but there is going to be a response. Shaun's going to play it safe. He's not going to, you know, put that much faith in the top of his deck for an untapped land, and just make sure he, again, uses his mana, and he's going to use Terminate to take down the Deceiver Exarch here. Yeah,
that plays a good one because it doesn't look like a play that you'd want to make because we can see Patrick's hand, but he doesn't know that Patrick doesn't already have Splinter Twin in hand and it's just a land away from killing him. And so if he doesn't cast that spell and doesn't draw black mana, he just dies to an untapped land if Patrick has the Splinter Twin.
Now, interestingly here, Snapcaster Mage is going to get main phase flashback to get the Serum Visions back and keep that train flowing instead of leaving up the possibility to flashback Spell Snare here.
Yeah, just looking for some more action. I think that, yeah, it's a tough call. Having the second copy of Snapcaster Mage, it's kind of tough to just pass the turn and do nothing, knowing that if your opponent doesn't cast something that you can Lightning Bolt or Spell Snare, you're just basically wasting your turn. He's still a mana away from casting Cryptic Command, so trying to find that land or find just some more action, something along the Tarmogoyf line, or you know, just more spells that can help interact with his opponent, because he's got 6 cards in hand. Like, he's going to start casting some things pretty soon, and right now Patrick doesn't have a ton of answers, and so this game doesn't look great for him right now. It doesn't look bad, but you know, he's definitely not ahead, and so just trying to find his way to kind of stabilize this game a little bit better.
And it looks like Shaun's just going to use this turn while being a little bit... Actually, no, he's going to be fully mana efficient. So he's going to go Thoughtseize, Inquisition, and then play Tasigur here. Or no, he doesn't have black mana.
He could Lightning Bolt, though.
Yeah, he will have Bolt. But yeah, he just gets to tear apart Patrick's hand, leaving him with just a bare Lightning Bolt left. And then, like you said, his hand has so much gas in it, he's just going to be able to start dropping huge threats immediately. All right, well, Patrick shuffled there and found a Serum Visions off the top, so he can't complain about that. And Cryptic Command jumps right into his hand. Unfortunately for him, he won't have the land to cast it this turn, which is pretty big. Finding, being able to cast a Cryptic Command would have been pretty huge this turn, as this turn's going to be a big one for Shaun.
Yeah, I think he's going to Lightning Bolt the Snapcaster Mage and play Liliana and plus it, get it out of bolt range. The bolt will probably get discarded, and Shaun's just going to be in a great spot.
Yeah. Shaun looking to be in the driver's seat here, as he has found just enough lands and has been able to use his mana. His deck effectively curves out at 3 mana, and that means that even when you're only stuck on 2, he was still able to cast a Tarmogoyf and then cast a Terminate, and then in one turn cast a Thoughtseize and an Inquisition. So, moving things forward pretty nicely here for Shaun McLaren. He draws a Thoughtseize for the turn as well, kind of interesting.
Yeah, he's got a lot of options this turn, and none of them are bad.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go with the Goyf and Tasigur, I guess.
It's very strong.
4/5 Tarmogoyf.
It's kind of interesting to put yourself in this game 1 spot of, your opponent just cast Serum Visions. If he drew one of his creatures off the Serum Visions, I don't know if he scryed any of the cards at the top, but if he scryed even a single card to the top, then there's actually a reasonable chance that he drew one of the creatures off the Serum Visions and then scryed a Splinter Twin to the top. And so if there's a card on top from the Serum Visions, this is a very risky line because he could just be dead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure exactly what the situation was, but it's very unlikely that I would put myself in that position when I'm this far ahead. There's a Lightning Bolt as one of the cards, the other one unknown, and you're not really losing this game by playing it slow. So
yeah, so you would prefer to see that Thoughtseize come out of the hand here for McLaren to make sure that he's not just going to get oops I died when he's got such a stacked hand and a stacked board.
Yeah, that would definitely be my preference.
Okay.
I mean, you could still play Tasigur, or you could still play Tarmogoyf or Tasigur, I guess, but you could probably play Tarmogoyf. Or you could play Tasigur and leave up Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, it's pretty aggressive. All right, well, now he's going to fire off this Thoughtseize. And this is going to be an interesting choice here for Dickmann. He can counter it.
Got to Cryptic it because it's just going to take the Cryptic anyway.
Yeah, I mean, is he going to bounce Tasigur? Is he going to just draw a card?
Bouncing Tasigur is reasonable, especially when you're going to be able to remand it the second time it comes down because he's very far from casting it this turn. Although if he just played a fetch land, he could just cast Tasigur.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the Thoughtseize. Yeah. It looks like it's a gamble he's going to take here. He's going to bounce Tasigur and counter the Thoughtseize here.
Very reasonable.
And it's going to work out well for him. He's still behind, though, right? I mean, this Tarmogoyf's a big deal.
Yes. Shaun has plenty of answers to the Snapcaster Mage, and it's the only card he has right now. Shaun knows about the Lightning Bolt, so the Dark Confidant doesn't look great, although letting it get bolted is not a big deal, and it's just more Tasigur food. And Tarmogoyf's a good draw. More
Tasigur food, I like that.
Those giant apes and their bananas.
I mean, we know Tasigur's chosen food, right? It's been made very clear to us. All right, so bolts. And he's actually going to choose to leave up Remand rather than play a Tarmogoyf here.
Yeah, I mean, the Tasigur he's not going to have an answer to it. I don't think all the removals in his deck, like the Roast, I don't think it's in his deck right now. I think that's a sideboard card, although he may have one copy main, one copy sideboard. I'm not entirely sure. I've seen different versions of his with both of those iterations, so. And next turn he gets to play Tarmogoyf and leave up Remand, so that's a fine spot to be in, although he's pretty far behind.
He is pretty far behind, yeah, and Shaun's got to try to decide what he wants to do here. Shaun can just go for Tasigur.
Mm-hmm.
He also could play a Liliana of the Veil here. Either play, Remand is effective against.
True. It is interesting that basically this entire game he's been very open to losing to the Splinter Twin combo.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that sometimes. That sometimes this deck, has that raw power that like a deck like Jund doesn't, where it just immediately wins out of nowhere.
All right, it looks a pretty sweet draw.
Another Remand. Oh, very nice. So now he still gets to be in that position that we talked about before, where he's got Tarmogoyf with Remand up. Wow, Electrolyze too. That's I've seen that card break the Tarmogoyf parity pretty frequently as well. So this is getting kind of interesting now for Patrick Dickmann.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that the Snapcaster dealt as much damage as it did. The Bolt could have taken it down many, many turns.
I think it's done
I'm not sure
here.
I'm not sure what the weight was on it, but
I'm surprised too, especially given that Liliana of the Veil is so much more powerful.
He can still cast Lightning Bolt and kill the Snapcaster. Now, it's just a one-mana spell, but it's interesting that he's chose to wait so long, I guess, really wanting to save it for Bounding Crassus. So, Tasigur can still come down now that this Remand is cleared. Although, if Patrick draws Splinter Twin, which he's got 3 copies, he hasn't seen one yet, I don't believe, and about 38 cards it looks like in his deck, so he can't win this turn, but let's say Shaun doesn't draw a removal spell on his turn, he's going to have a few shots at it. Like, even if Patrick draws a land this turn, he can end up playing Deceiver Exarch, untapping a land, cast Electrolyze, so he gets even another look at it.
Is he just forced to take it here?
Certainly not forced to take it, but it's kind of a tough spot.
Yeah, the threat of the Lightning Bolt was pretty strong there, though now he's actually dead to 2 Lightning Bolts if Shaun had that.
Yep. Well, he knows 2 of the cards because he's remanded them, and there's only 1 other card. So it happens to be a Lightning Bolt, but the Tasigur and the Liliana, he's put in his hand. So he was safe from death for now. So Tasigur is going to come down. Not amazing on this board, but always good. The fact that Shaun gets a green source, so this Ravine's actually going to be turned on.
Yeah, this is crazy how back and forth this goes too. Just because, looking at the board, Shaun has to be careful with his own life total here, as Deceiver Exarch could tap down Tasigur, and that clears the way for 6 damage to Shaun, putting him down to 4, right? And it's like, just the thought that he could be immediately at 4 life. There are cards there that can beat him.
Definitely are.
So he's got to be careful too. Let's see what the draw is here for Patrick Dickmann, trying to become the first modern Super League champion, but Shaun McLaren has already defeated him in 1 match. It was a land off the top for Patrick.
Again, this is a decent land in that he could untap and cast Electrolyze, giving him 2 shots at just winning at not instant speed, but just basically out of nowhere with Splinter Twin. I'm not sure if that necessarily works out, if he's going to need to use the Exarch to actually tap down a creature.
To not die?
Well, he's not going to die, but he knows about Liliana, and he probably suspects a Lightning Bolt, and so these things could, really wreak havoc with his board. Like, you can just bolt the Snapcaster, Liliana can threaten to kill Tarmogoyf, and at that point, he's going to have to play Deceiver Exarch to tap something. He needs Exarch to not die so that he can actually win the game.
So he can't chump with it. Yeah, it's a tough spot. It does feel like Shaun's in a good position now. He's drawing Kolagon's command here. He has no graveyard currently. He can use it to kill Snapcaster and get a card out of hand for Dickmann.
Mm-hmm. Well, if Dickmann doesn't have anything, like let's say he kills Snapcaster, takes a card, and attacks, the Lightning Bolt just represents lethal, so... It means that if Dickmann was just holding the combo, like Exarch Twin, that he could disrupt it. which is pretty nice.
Yeah, nice insurance for Shaun McLaren there.
He also has 5 points of burn, and Patrick's at 6.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, he can't take a single hit of damage, and he can't even crack a fetch land if he were to draw one without being dead here. So, yeah, this is super, super close, and Shaun is now trying to figure out how he wants to navigate this turn, and it looks like he...
The other option is doing nothing and leaving up Bolt plus Kolaghan's command so that you can't die to Splinter Twin combo. It's 5 points of burn that can kill a creature.
All right, well, it looks like he's decided to do something.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this turn ends up playing out.
Yeah, I'm really curious now. Deceiver Exarch.
So he's going to go for untapping a land and casting Electrolyze, I imagine?
Yeah, so that would mean that... I'm assuming then that he's chumping and then blocking and using the Electrolyze to kill whatever the Tarmogoyf blocks.
I think if I'm Shaun right now, I'm going to deal 2 to the Deceiver Exarch, make him discard the last card, Bolt to kill the Exarch? Wait, what?
He could also just bolt the Snapcaster Mage to take that off the table and make...
The thing is, I don't want to be dead to Splinter Twin off the top. It's a 3 out of 37 to just kill me. And this game is effectively over. I mean, it feels like it's over. I don't see what I could be missing that Patrick can win the game without Splinter Twin.
Right. Yeah, with Shaun at 10, he's out of range here. So block. Okay.
Oh, wow. So he's letting the Exarch die?
If Shaun wants to kill the Exarch, he can kill the Exarch here.
Interesting.
I mean, this is telegraphing to Shaun that he doesn't have the combo in hand. I mean, is he just daring Shaun?
No. I don't understand this.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, right? Because the Exarch's just going to die regardless, as the Tarmogoyf wouldn't die in this situation anyway.
Right, I mean, he's killing Tasigur, which is great, and then he has Tarmogoyf on Tarmogoyf, which is a fine spot to be in. The Electrolyze doesn't do anything, though.
No.
Can't kill anything with it.
No, it doesn't. Doesn't kill Raging Ravine in future turns either.
He knows about Liliana, too. Like, Liliana's just going to kill the Tarmogoyf. He's going to be down to no other creatures. I don't...
So it'll be Tarmogoyf and Liliana plus a Raging Ravine versus nothing.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's just see how it plays out here. Shaun is going to go for make you discard with Kolaghan's command and do 2 damage to Tarmogoyf, it looks like.
I don't understand. Oh, he can just kill Tarmogoyf with the lightning bolt.
And then just
of using the
Deceiver. Sure. Yeah, I mean, this situation favors Shaun just as it sits. He can leverage the cards in his hand to make it even more favorable, but...
Yeah, I mean, this game felt like it was almost out of reach for Patrick to the point that I'm going to rely on hoping that I get my combo off. But no, yeah, he's just dead.
Yeah, and that's going to do it. All right, so game 1 goes to Shaun McLaren here as he rumbles his way to victory with a Tasigur as well as a Tarmogoyf, and we are once again going to sideboard plans here, Ifro. And like you said before, this matchup changes the way that it plays out pretty significantly from game 1 to game 2.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick's deck goes from a combo deck to not. Like, he's going to have the ability to combo off. There is a chance that he decides to go in a different direction, that he is going to be more combo-oriented because of the way that Shaun's played and because of the way that people predict that you're going to play the deck, that you're not going to be very combo-centric. The way that Shaun even played game 1, he really didn't pay a lot of mind to the combo, which is actually a good way to play more often than not. If you give the Splinter Twin deck a lot of extra time, especially when they have other threats like Tarmogoyf, you're just playing into their hands of drawing into the combo. The odds of actually having a 5 of plus a 3 of, especially with some form of disruption plus the other cards you've played, it's not that high. But the more turns you give them, the more likely it is. And when people just leave up their removal spells every turn, fearing the combo, you're actually giving them a better chance of getting there eventually with enough protection. Shaun plays very aggressively, though. He doesn't seem to worry too much about the combo. If it gets him, it gets him. So it wouldn't surprise me too much if Patrick decided to leave in a little bit more of the combo elements after sideboard. It looks like he didn't, though. He went with the same game plan. The Deceivers and the Splinter Twins go. Going to be 2 Crassus and 1 Splinter Twin to potentially combo off. Bounding Crassus being a 3/3. Decent value creature already. And back to Thragtusk and Keranos.
Yeah, I find that interesting as well. I mean, how much different does it look? It's not, you know, when you've already played sideboarded games against a player back-to-back like this, it can be tempting to kind of throw them a curveball, but I just wonder if doing that really benefits Dickmann anyway. It's not like Shaun's bringing in so much, you know, stuff for the combo or against the combo that's really specific. His cards are kind of general answers anyway, so it doesn't seem like he gets a big edge there.
Yeah, I'm not talking about, like, based on the cards that they're playing. I'm talking about just the way that he's actually playing the games. Like, if you're willing to go more aggressive and not worry about the combo, which Shaun proved on, like, turn 12 or whatever of that game.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's just like, oh, well, I'll tap out. You know, you probably don't have the combo. And could have it. I mean, he didn't, but...
Got away with it.
If you're going to play that way, it's... You're leading... You're giving yourself more opportunities to get comboed out, which makes you want to have more of the combo.
Right. This is a good opener here for Patrick, though. He's got a couple of lands, a couple of Serum Visions, a Snapcaster, a Tarmogoyf, and a Cryptic. So this looks really nice for him. Yep. He I know he's a big fan, and rightfully so, of playing the turn 1 Serum Visions into the turn 2 Tarmogoyf and not letting it get...
so when we started sideboarding, I saw Shaun take out all 4 Lightning Bolts again. I didn't see him actually put one back into the deck, but it looks like there's still a Lightning Bolt in his hand, so I guess one ended up sneaking back in, and I just missed the change in sideboarding.
Yeah, there was something different. He did end up mulliganing that hand, and he's got a nice one here, though.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of weak one-landers in our 2-part finale here.
Yeah, but this one looks good, right? I mean, he's got Inquisition solid. Into Bob, into, well, depending on his land situation, into Liliana.
Exactly. His lands are not what he wants them to be, but the fact that he can Inquisition away this Tarmogoyf is a great start.
Yeah, and I mean, and next turn he can still play Dark Confidant and have 2 draw steps to try to hit. So
totally,
this is looking pretty good. Tarmogoyf or Snapcaster is going to hit the bin. I'm assuming Goyf is your main target.
Yeah, in this case, just because he doesn't actually have an answer to it. So Patrick's going to be looking for lands. I assume he bottomed both. I don't know that he wants to draw a Snapcaster this turn, so I assume that he scryed to the bottom. Lands are so good, especially after he sees that Tarmogoyf off the top. One more land just turned on the Snapcaster you already had, of being able to just flashback Serum Visions. And right now, this Dark Confidant is a very real threat. It doesn't happen very often in these matchups where there's quite a bit of removal.
Are we going to see a Snapcaster just played here as a Viper? Oh, yeah, we are. Look at that.
Is that way?
Okay, he finds the land off the top now. He's going to start rumbling with Snapcasters. I mean, that is one thing that this deck can do if it needs to, is if it gets a little bit ahead, it can use a lot of its spells as more tempo-oriented plays, you know, keeping your opponent's creatures off balance with your Deceiver Exarchs and your Bounding Krasis and just beating down.
Yeah, let's make no mistake, this is very much a tempo deck, especially after sideboard. The combo is very limited. We're looking at 2 Crassus, 1 Splinter Twin, that's it. Yeah.
Wow, no untapped land here for Shaun McLaren, so he does not get to play Liliana of the Veil. The good news for him, though, is that he drew Tarmogoyf and Abrupt Decay, so he got good options for his 2 mana.
Yeah, I think this is what he would prefer to the untapped land. He still has land. You know, this is a fine turn to get your tap land into play. It's not costing him much in this Tarmogoyf. It's just brick wall city. Like, these creatures can't get through now.
Yeah. Another land off the top, though, for Patrick Dickmann means that Thragtusk is just 1 draw potentially away here.
Thragtusk is actually not super exciting here, though, just because there is Liliana, there is Tarmogoyf, you have no pressure, and they're drawing 2 cards a turn, so it's good. I mean, it's what you want, but it's not great. Yeah,
it looks like Patrick's falling behind quickly here as Dark Confidant is doing what Dark Confidant does.
He was really hoping Tasigur got flipped off that.
Yeah. Yeah, the one of Tasigur. That would help. He does have Cryptic Command in hand and at the ready, though.
I mean, Cryptic's great, but 2 cards a turn and Tarmogoyf. I mean, lots of removal ready to go. This is an uphill climb. Shaun is in the driver's seat for sure. He's got options. He can Liliana or he can Inquisition, leave up Abrupt Decay. They're both good. It's nice to be in that position where no matter what you do, it's going to work out pretty nicely.
All right, he's attacking with both creatures. Does Patrick block the Dark Confidant here?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's snapping it off.
Wonder if he's going to fire off this Abrupt Decay to keep his Dark Confidant. Nope.
He didn't. So why did he trade away the Dark Confidant there? I mean, he's still at 14, right?
Yeah, I don't agree with it. I mean...
Okay, you would have kept it around. That's why I asked. I'm just wondering if, because that card was kind of dominating this board at the moment. And his hand is good, right? He's got good answers, but it's not, unbelievable or whatever, where you could just say, well, he just doesn't need anything else ever again.
Right. It's certainly very far from that.
Right. So interesting play there from Shaun. He's going to use an Abrupt Decay to take out a Snapcaster Mage. But another Cryptic Command off the top for Patrick Dickmann means that, it's going to be tough for Shaun to stick threats here. Even, the Inquisition of Kozilek doesn't hit anything super amazing here, just only has 2 targets in his hand. Patrick's hand is pretty well set up to not lose to that.
Yeah, although the Inquisition's still nice because it can take the Spell Snare, and what the Cryptic was probably going to do was bounce Tarmogoyf, draw a card, and leave up Spell Snare to try to take care of it on the way back down, and that's no longer an option. These Raging Ravines are going to be big threats, so it's a tough spot. I mean, Thragtusk is going to help. The Cryptics are good, but they're just not great.
Man, I have to think that if Patrick is able to resolve 2 Cryptic Commands and a Thragtusk throughout the course of this game, what else is he supposed to do, right?
Pretty much.
It's got to be the best case. All right, so...
Well, the Dark Confidant drawing 2 extra cards is real. Like, he got an extra card off a Snapcaster Mage, but... Tarmogoyf's just been a big threat.
All right. Well, it looks like he's going to have to get that Tarmogoyf out of the way and counter the Dark Confidant here.
Mm-hmm. So I believe an untapped land could have just made this look pretty rough because he already took the damage from the Tarmogoyf if he could have just redeployed it, but turns out does not have that. Snapcaster Mage is nice. That means Spell Snare can come back. He's got the Cryptic Command also, so he's actually... found himself in a pretty decent position. That turn actually felt like it should have gone much worse.
Yeah. Yeah, he's at 8 here. And he's got the backup Cryptic Command. Now, Shaun McLaren knows about that.
Yes.
He knows about the Dispel and the Thragtusk. He doesn't know about the Snapcaster Mage.
Correct.
Now, if Patrick does go for the Spell Snare here, then that means that Liliana of the Veil can come down, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his plan is. He might just go with the Cryptic because he's planning on casting Thragtusk and wants to draw the card to get the land, and also if he then draws 1 more land, he then has Snapcaster Cryptic. So it's an interesting decision spot here. I think I would Cryptic.
All right. Well, Tarmo Twin Master Patrick Dickmann says, "I'm just gonna flashback Spell Snare here and take care of this Goyf the good old-fashioned way." I suppose he's okay if Liliana of the Veil comes down here?
Yes, Snapcaster is a good response to it in that he's going to have to minus it and, to kill the Snapcaster or it just threatens Liliana's life. So if that happens and, he draws a land to land the Thragtusk, he's actually in good shape.
Okay.
There's no answer to Thragtusk. Liliana will be at 1. The worst it can do is plus, and that's not so bad. So if Patrick can find an untapped land here, and Shaun doesn't find something pretty good, I mean, it doesn't need to be amazing yet, he's in pretty good shape. Untapped land is huge, though. Grim Lavamancer would be good if not for Abrupt Decay.
Yeah.
He can't, dispel the removal spell, unfortunately. And so now he's going to have to probably leave Cryptic down.
Yeah, because that's the problem, right? Is that if he does decide to cast the Grim Lavamancer, that means that Cryptic Command is offline for the turn. Yeah. Speaking of Grim Lavamancer.
Well, this is a little interesting, actually, because optimally he would be able to play the land, play Grim Lavamancer, activate Raging Ravine, and plus Liliana, but then he'd have to lose Abrupt Decay. So he can't do everything he wants to do this turn, which is a nice reprieve, I guess, for Patrick, but still a tough spot. So he's going to have a decision here. I assume he could discard Dispel or Lavamancer. But this Raging Ravine is going to get activated, and he's going to have the choice of bounce that, draw a card, or bounce Liliana and tap the Raging Ravine. I assume he's going to bounce the Ravine, draw a card, hope to get Thragtusk down, and give himself a reasonable chance. Thragtusk will swing the game pretty immensely.
All right, here it is, Raging Ravine. And let's see what Patrick decides to do.
I think he's going to go bounce draw.
Mm-hmm. Bounce draw.
Yeah, I just think he needs the card. He just has to hit that land.
Oh, he took the damage.
Oh, apparently he's going bounce draw on Liliana. I don't agree with, but it's certainly reasonable. It's not. The thing is, if he misses, he just dies.
Wow, yeah, so this is a risky play here for Patrick, but he hits.
Yeah.
He actually hit 2 lands, so now he gets the Thragtusk back up to 9.
Mm-hmm.
He even has an extra land in his hand for discard purposes later. So here comes Thragdad.
Yep.
Boom.
He's looking to keep drawing Thragtusks.
How many more of these can I get? Land off the top for McLaren.
So
now,
he's got
how far ahead or behind is Patrick Dickmann at this point?
He's pretty far behind. He can play everything this turn. He can play Liliana, Kill Thragtusk, Abrupt Decay the token, Grim Lavamancer, and that's going to be pretty good. Like, Patrick can't do anything about that. He only has a Grim Lavamancer, which dies to Grim Lavamancer, and there's a 5/5 land threatening to kill him in 2 hits. So
all right,
he's not in good shape.
Yeah, this is a huge turn for McLaren, and this could be the turn that wins him the Modern Super League here, because that was massive. Let's see, and it's just a land off the top for Dickmann. And he's dead in what, a turn here?
Yeah, he's going to take 5 from the Ravine. If he plays Lavamancer, it's just going to go down to Lavamancer. Liliana's going to plus. He's facing down multiple lethal threats.
That's it.
Minus.
That does it. Shaun McLaren wins. He wins 2-0 over Patrick Dickmann in our finals. He beat him 2-1 in the previous finals, and that's it. Jund wins the Modern Super League in the hands of Shaun McLaren. I'm not shocked. Jund's a very good deck against a wide field, and even though, if you could really metagame this, I think you could probably do better. It was a pretty safe choice, and Shaun piloted it to victory here, Ifro.
Yeah, it's interesting the way the field ended up working out, that there was a lot of very Jundy decks, rock decks, black control style decks. I think there might have been 4 of them, actually. So a deck like Tron that you'd normally see a Cedric Phillips play would have been pretty fantastic. Cedric ended up still qualifying for Super League Championships by winning his first 2 matches, played a pretty sweet Zoo Burn deck. I believe that's a Patrick Sullivan deck. And we saw a lot of very attrition-y decks. It's not too surprising. It's something that you come to expect when great players are planning to play against great players. You play a deck that allows you to play a lot and play some, relatively long games and not be dead to anything except for
Yeah, so congratulations to Shaun McLaren. Why don't we just take a quick break and we'll actually bring him in and have a chat. Ifro, thanks for hanging. I love doing commentary with you. I appreciate your expertise as always. And we'll see you guys in just a minute.
Hi, guys.